Your angels are trying to reach you, and this time, the sign is too big to ignore. If this message found you, it means divine forces are speaking, and they need your attention now. This isn't just coincidence. This is confirmation. A spiritual wake-up call. The warning is clear. If you keep ignoring the signs, you may fall into a cycle you were meant to break free from. Your angels have gone before you to light the way, but you must choose to follow. Don't scroll past this. Don't silence the guidance. Open your heart and receive what heaven is urgently trying to tell you. 111. A new beginning is forming right before your eyes. The pain of the past is losing its grip, and clarity is making its way into your heart. What once confused you will soon be clear. What once delayed you will now propel you forward. The divine is aligning your steps with destiny. Type 111 if you receive this fresh start. 222. Balance is being restored in your life. What was out of order is falling into divine alignment. God is rearranging things behind the scenes. Relationships, finances, and your peace of mind are being made whole. You are not forgotten. Heaven sees you. Type 222 if you're ready to walk in divine harmony. 333. The Trinity is guiding you. You are not fighting alone. Divine power, divine wisdom, and divine protection surround you like a shield. What tried to destroy you will now be your testimony. You are rising. Type 333 if you believe divine help is here. 444. You are surrounded by angels, even in moments you feel alone. Your cries have not gone unnoticed. Heaven has heard and is responding with breakthroughs and favor. A shift is happening. Don't give up. Type 444 if you trust the divine process. 555. Major changes are ahead. The old you is gone. The fears, insecurities, and closed doors are being replaced by courage, confidence, and open gates of abundance. God is rewriting your story. Type 555 if you're ready to welcome divine transformation. 666. You are being called back to spiritual center. You've been overthinking, but peace is returning. The chaos was only a reset. Realignment is happening in your mind, body, and spirit. Type 666 if you're choosing clarity over confusion. 777. You are in alignment with your divine purpose. What's coming next is not random, it's orchestrated. Divine favor is about to meet you where you least expect it. Type 777 if you're ready for the divine rewards of obedience. 888. Financial and spiritual abundance is flowing into your life. You are entering a season of overflow where lack is replaced with provision and anxiety is replaced with peace. Type 888 if you're ready to receive more than enough. 000. A full reset is happening in your life. You are not starting over, you're starting from wisdom. God is giving you a new canvas to paint a life more vibrant than before. Type 000 if you're embracing the divine clean slate. 1010. Double doors are opening for you, one to healing, the other to destiny. Everything you've gone through has prepared you for this moment. You will not miss what is meant for you. Type 1010 if you're ready for divine opportunity. 1212. You are stepping into a season where everything is working in your favor. Divine alignment is pulling the right people, opportunities, and breakthroughs toward you. You won't have to chase. Type 1212 if you believe it's your time. 1313. What tried to break you only built your strength. You are in a powerful rebirth season. Divine energy is shaking off all that no longer belongs to you. The right things are finding you. Type 1313 if you're ready to be reborn stronger. 1414. God is stabilizing what once felt shaky. The ground beneath you will no longer tremble. Your foundation is being rebuilt on peace, wisdom, and unwavering faith. Type 1414 if you believe God is grounding your steps. 1515. Every divine delay is now becoming a divine release. You thought you were being held back, but you were being protected. What's next will make sense of what didn't. Type 1515 if you're ready for divine release. 1616. Your heart is being healed. Emotional wounds are being gently mended by the hands of heaven. Joy is returning in unexpected ways, and laughter will fill your spirit again. Type 1616 if you're ready to feel whole again. 1717. This is your reminder, you are chosen. Everything you've endured is proof of how strong you are. God didn't bring you this far to leave you now. Breakthrough is near. Type 1717 if you feel destiny calling. 1818. New beginnings and fulfilled promises are converging in your life. You are standing at the edge of answered prayers. You are stepping into what you once only dreamed of. Type 1818 if you're ready to walk into your answered prayer. 1919. This is the end of an old chapter and the divine birthing of a new one. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. Release what was and open your hands to what is coming. Type 1919 if you're ready for your new season. 2020. What once felt blurry is coming into crystal clear focus. Your purpose is becoming more evident, and your vision more accurate. You are walking in divine precision. Type 2020 if you believe clarity is here. 2121. You are not behind. Divine timing is catching up with your prayers. Everything is unfolding just as it should. Relax your grip, He's got you. Type 2121 if you're trusting the divine timeline. 2222. You're entering a season of double confirmation, double favor, and double doors. God is not just answering your prayers, He's doing more than you asked for. Type 2222 if you're ready for the double blessing. 2323. A new anointing is being poured over your life. Your gifts are being activated, your voice amplified, and your faith rewarded. You are walking into impact and overflow. Type 2323 if you're ready for spiritual elevation. 2424. What you thought was a breakdown is turning into a breakthrough. Divine restoration is coming, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You're being rebuilt better. Type 2424 if you receive full restoration. 2525. You're being prepared for something greater. The shift you feel is not random, it's divine positioning. Get ready for accelerated growth and unexpected favor. Type 2525 if you're open to divine acceleration. 2626. God is perfecting everything concerning you. What looks delayed is actually being developed. Trust that what you're building will last. Type 2626 if you're committed to the long-term blessing. 2727. The right people, places, and divine moments are aligning. What was once scattered is now coming together. This is your season of divine connection. Type 2727 if you're ready to meet your destiny connections. 2828. Expect open doors. Expect sudden favor. Expect divine reversals. The tables are turning in your favor and no one can stop what God has started. Type 2828 if you believe divine reversal is here. 3030. You are being made new from the inside out. Divine wisdom is filling you. Divine beauty is being revealed in you. Your inner glow will attract divine outcomes. Type 3030 if you're ready to shine from within. 3131. God is bringing peace to the war that's been going on in your soul. You will no longer live in survival mode. Rest is returning. Joy is rising. Type 3131 if you're ready for peace to replace pressure. 3232. You're not starting over, you're starting higher. God is promoting you spiritually, emotionally, and in life. What looked like rejection was redirection towards something greater. Type 3232 if you're ready to start higher. There is something sacred happening in your spirit, even when your surroundings suggest otherwise. You may not see the evidence yet. You may not feel anything different. In fact, you may feel more tired than ever before, more confused, more isolated, more on the edge of giving up. But in the unseen realm, God is building something far greater than the eye can perceive. And in the depths of your pain, He is forging a strength in you that you didn't know you had. You've been carrying a weight that seems too heavy to bear, and yet somehow, you keep showing up. Somehow, you keep praying. Somehow, you're still here. That's not because of your own willpower, that's because God has been holding you up the whole time, even when you couldn't feel it. Even when it felt like your prayers were unanswered, your heart unheard. He's been whispering strength into you with every passing hour. You see, God isn't just watching from a distance. He's walking with you in the fire. You haven't been alone in that valley, not for 1 second. Every tear you cried was caught. Every sigh you let out was heard. Every time you said, "God, I don't know if I can keep going," heaven responded with fresh mercy. Angels were dispatched. Strength was released. But not always in the way you expected. Sometimes the strength of God doesn't feel like a bolt of energy. It feels like quiet endurance. It feels like peace in the chaos. It feels like waking up one more day and refusing to quit. It feels like trusting Him in the dark when you don't see the light. That's what real strength is, the kind that heaven recognizes. The kind that doesn't need to look powerful to be powerful. You may have been praying for God to remove the storm, but what if He's using the storm to reveal the power He placed inside of you? You may have asked for the struggle to end, but what if the struggle is birthing the version of you that's prepared for what's ahead? There are places God is taking you that your current strength couldn't sustain. So He's allowing this season not to crush you, but to forge you. He's letting you be stretched so you'll never be easily broken. He's teaching you to fight in the Spirit so that you're equipped for the assignments on your life. And the strength you are developing right now, in private, in silence, in prayer, in tears, is going to shock you when you look back and realize you didn't fold when you could have. You grew stronger when you didn't even know it. There's also a joy that's coming, not just after the battle, but in it. God is the only one who can give you joy that makes no logical sense. The kind that shows up in hospital rooms, and empty bank accounts, and seasons of transition, and relationships that didn't work out. The kind of joy that rises in your spirit even when nothing around you changes, because the joy doesn't come from what's happening around you. It comes from who's holding you within. Joy is your portion. Not because everything is perfect, but because God's presence is with you. And in His presence, there is fullness of joy. Fullness, not fragments. Overflow, not just enough to get by. He's not giving you joy like the world gives. He's giving you joy that becomes your strength, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. Right now, it may feel like everything around you is falling apart, but in reality, things are falling into place. What looks like a setback is setting you up. What looks like closed doors are redirections to something better. What looks like endings are disguised beginnings. And God is still in the business of making a way where there is no way. That's who He is, the Waymaker. He doesn't need a clear path to create one. He doesn't need the odds in your favor to give you the victory. In fact, He often waits until the odds are stacked against you to show that it was never about your ability to begin with, it was always about His power. You might be standing at the edge of what looks like an impossible situation right now. A diagnosis. A financial burden. A relationship issue. A silent heartbreak no one else knows about. And you've whispered to God, "I don't know how I'm going to get through this." And the Spirit of God replies, "You don't have to know how, just know me. I am the way through this. I am your strength. I am your peace. I am your rescue. I am your victory." God never asked you to figure it out. He never asked you to be strong on your own. He never asked you to pretend everything's okay. What He asks is that you trust Him. Even now. Especially now. This is the part of the story where your faith has a chance to shine. Not because everything is easy, but because you believe that God is faithful even when it's hard. This is where your roots go deeper. This is where your testimony is being written. This is where you find out just how unshakable the foundation of His love is. And make no mistake, God is working. Even in the silence. Even in the delay. Even in the heartbreak. He's not just working on the situation. He's working in you. He's shaping your perspective, healing your wounds, training your hands for battle, teaching you how to rest in Him, and preparing you for a future that will require more of Him and less of you. That's what this season has been about. It hasn't been wasted. It's been preparation. You've grown in ways you haven't even seen yet. You've developed a quiet kind of courage, a deep reliance on God, an ability to discern His voice more clearly. You're not the same person who entered this storm, and you won't leave it the same either. God is faithful to finish what He starts. That means He's not finished with you. The things you thought disqualified you, He's using them. The people who walked away, He's replacing them with those aligned with your purpose. The moments where you stumbled, He's covering them with grace. Nothing is wasted in the hands of a God who redeems everything. So take heart. Even if your circumstances haven't changed yet, you are changing. You are becoming. You are rising. You are being strengthened with a supernatural power that doesn't come from self-help books or motivational quotes. It comes from the living God who breathes life into dry bones. You're not at a dead end. You're at a divine turning point. This is the season where God flips the script. This is the moment where your I can't turns into He can. This is the chapter where you stop trying to carry everything alone and let the weight fall off your shoulders into the hands of the One who can handle it all. Let the tears come if they need to. Let the weariness be felt. But don't stay there. Lift your eyes. Lift your head. The Lord is your help. He has never failed, and He's not about to start now. This battle you're in? It won't end in defeat. It will end in glory. This trial you're facing? It will become your testimony. This heaviness you feel? It will lift. This confusion you carry? It will turn to clarity. And when it happens, you'll remember not your own strength, but the God who never left your side. He is for you. He is with you. He is fighting your battles, even the ones you don't see. And when it looks impossible, that's when you'll see the God of the impossible show up in a way you never imagined. Because the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead is alive in you. And nothing is too hard for your God. There is something holy happening in your waiting. And though the enemy has tried to convince you that your delay is denial, God says otherwise. This season is not punishment. It is refinement. It's not because you're forgotten, it's because you're being formed. God is not trying to hurt you. He's trying to build you from the inside out. He's building endurance, because where you're going, you can't afford to give up halfway. He's building vision, because where you're headed, you'll need to see beyond what others see. He's building discernment, because your next season will require knowing His voice above all others. He's building capacity, because the blessing He's bringing is greater than what you've carried before. So yes, the stretching hurts. Yes, the breaking is real. But what you're carrying is too important for shortcuts. God knows what He's doing. You may feel like your life is in pieces, but He sees the masterpiece being assembled. You may feel like your strength is gone, but He's just now getting started. In the areas where you feel the weakest, God is about to demonstrate His greatest power. In the rooms where you were overlooked, God is about to highlight you for His glory. In the situations where you thought, it's too late, God is about to show you what happens when eternity steps into time. He doesn't need everything to make sense for you to move forward. He just needs your yes. There's power in your yes, even if it's whispered through tears. There's power in your surrender, even when you don't have it all figured out. There's power in your faith, even mustard seed-sized faith, because that's all He requires to move mountains. You may have been climbing a mountain for so long that you forgot what the promise looked like. But God hasn't. And He hasn't changed His mind about you. You haven't missed it. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're not too flawed. The very things the enemy used to shame you, God is using to shape you. And here's what the enemy doesn't want you to realize: you're closer than you think. The Lord is not teasing you with signs. He's preparing your heart to receive what He's about to release. You've passed tests you didn't even know you were taking. You've remained faithful when you could have walked away. You've kept worshiping through warfare. And because of that, there's a harvest coming. And not just a small harvest, an overflow. God is going to restore everything that was lost, broken, or delayed. He's going to redeem the years you thought were wasted. He's going to breathe new life into dreams you put on the shelf. He's going to bring beauty from ashes in ways you never imagined. And when it happens, when the door opens, when the favor flows, when the miracle arrives, you'll know without a doubt that it was God. Not luck. Not coincidence. Not connections. Not your own strength. But the supernatural hand of the God who has been with you every step of the way. The same God who parted seas for Moses, who shut the lions' mouths for Daniel, who delivered Joseph from the pit to the palace, He's the same God working on your behalf right now. He is not finished. Not with your story. Not with your family. Not with your purpose. And not with this chapter. The promises He made to you in private are about to manifest in public. The tears you cried in silence are going to be answered with joy that no one can take away. The battles you faced in secret are going to be the very thing God uses to launch you into your calling. So breathe. Rest. Let the pressure lift. You don't have to carry the weight of the outcome. That's God's job. You just carry the faith. You carry the hope. You carry the belief that your God is good and He always finishes what He starts. You're stronger than you realize. braver than you feel, closer than you know, more anointed than you appear. And your story, the one you thought was falling apart, is about to become someone else's lifeline, someone else's confirmation, someone else's proof that God really does make a way when it looks impossible. He's going to use your pain, your healing, your miracle, your comeback. Because what He's doing in you is too good to keep to yourself. The world needs to see what happens when God steps into an impossible place, and that place is you. You may not have realized it yet, but this season wasn't your breakdown, it was your setup. Heaven has been organizing things behind the scenes, placing key people in your path, aligning divine moments, and preparing the land for your arrival. You didn't lose your way, God rerouted your journey to preserve you. Sometimes God delays the promise not because He's punishing you, but because He's protecting what belongs to you. If He had opened the door too soon, the foundation wouldn't have been ready. If He had released the blessing too early, the people around you would have mishandled it. If He had answered your prayer before He answered your heart, you wouldn't have had the wisdom to steward it well. So now, God is doing something better, something deeper. He's anchoring you in Him. Because what good is a promise if you don't have peace? What good is elevation if you don't have the maturity to handle it? What good is visibility if your identity hasn't yet been secured in Christ? This is the season where your roots grow deeper, not so the storm won't come, but so you won't fall when it does. This is the season where your discernment is sharpened, so you don't chase every opportunity that isn't God-ordained. This is the season where your prayers shift from God, give me what I want, to God, give me what you know I need. Because the truth is, God sees further down the road than you do. And He's not just writing a temporary victory for you, He's establishing legacy. Legacy requires endurance. Legacy requires trust. Legacy requires letting go of your timeline and embracing His divine process. God hasn't just been changing your circumstances, He's been changing your character. That's why it's been. And now, like Joseph, you're stepping out of a season of hiddenness and into a season of purpose. Like Esther, you're stepping out of the preparation room and into the place of influence. Like David, you're stepping out of the field and into the palace, but you're taking the lessons with you. Because everything that tried to bury you didn't realize, you were a seed. And what God planted, He will cause to rise. But still, here you are. Still breathing. Still hoping. Still praying. Still standing. And that alone is proof that God has been carrying you all along. Because He's not done writing your story. In fact, the most powerful chapter is just beginning. You're stepping into divine fulfillment, into supernatural peace, into answered prayer. And not just for you, but for those connected to your obedience. That's why the attack was so relentless. It wasn't just about you, it was about the lives your obedience would touch. It wasn't just about your gifts, it was about your legacy. It wasn't just about your pain, it was about the generations that will rise from your healing. And right now, in this very moment, heaven is orchestrating what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has conceived, for those who love Him and trust Him even when it doesn't make sense. That includes you. Even if you're still in the middle of the process, the pressure, the questions, it's still being worked for your good. Even if your surroundings don't yet reflect the promise still stands. Even if your heart is tired, your faith has already reached heaven. And your faith is not in vain. The same God who brought the Israelites through the Red Sea. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead. The same God who turned Paul from a persecutor to a preacher. The same God who walked with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego through the fire, this message will explore how God's preparation process is not punishment but placement, how He strategically shapes your character before releasing what He promised, and how every delay has divine intention. The message will also include prophetic encouragement, scriptural depth, and the assurance that the season of preparation is proof that the blessing is real and on its way. Not one word He spoke over you will fall to the ground. Not one promise will be left behind. But there is a truth that many avoid preaching, yet every faithful follower must walk through it. God often prepares you in private before He blesses you in public. And that preparation? It can feel like rejection, like delay, like divine silence when you're crying out the loudest. But what if you're not being punished, you're being positioned? What if God is stretching your capacity not to break you, but to build you, so that when the blessing shows up, it doesn't crush you? God is far more interested in your character than your comfort, especially when what He's calling you to carry is significant. Because it is possible to receive a blessing too soon and sabotage it with immaturity. And God loves you too much to let that happen. So He waits. He allows trials. He permits closed doors. He reroutes you when you thought the path was clear. Not to discourage you, but to develop the version of you that won't mishandle what He's about to place in your hands. When Jesus was baptized, the skies opened. The Father declared, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." It was a moment of divine affirmation. You might think such a moment would be followed by open doors and ministry success. But instead, the Holy Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness. Think about that. Jesus wasn't attacked by the wilderness, He was led into it by the Spirit of God. Because before Jesus could walk in His public calling, He had to be tested in private. The wilderness wasn't meant to destroy Him, it was the final stage of preparation. If Jesus, the Son of God, required wilderness training before stepping into full purpose, what makes us think we'll avoid it? The wilderness strips away distractions. It reveals your heart. It shows you what you're really relying on. It draws the real you out and draws you closer to God. That's why, even if you feel stuck, you're not stagnant. Even if it feels barren, God is busy. Behind every quiet season is a strategic preparation for something you don't see yet. To the outside world, it may look glamorous. An answered prayer, a dream job, a new beginning, a stage, a platform, a spouse, a calling fulfilled. But with every breakthrough comes new levels of responsibility, spiritual warfare, and pressure. If you don't have the strength to sustain the blessing, it becomes a burden. And God refuses to allow His children to be crushed under the weight of something they prayed for prematurely. Joseph didn't jump from the dream to the palace overnight. He went through betrayal, pits, false accusations, and prison. But God was with him in every stage. Not one moment was wasted. By the time Joseph got to Pharaoh, he wasn't just a dreamer, he was mature, discerning, disciplined, and prepared to steward a nation through famine. Would the old Joseph, the one who flaunted his dream in front of his brothers, have had the wisdom to lead a country? Probably not. But the Joseph forged through hardship had the humility and vision to carry the blessing without it carrying him away from God. Why haven't the doors opened yet? Why is the promise still delayed? Here's a truth heaven wants to whisper to your soul today. Delay does not mean denial. Silence does not mean absence. And hiddenness does not mean insignificance. God often hides what is valuable. Think of diamonds, gold, oil. All of them are buried deep. Why? Because their worth demands a process of discovery, refinement, and development. Every tear you've cried in secret is watering the very ground that will bear the fruit of your harvest. Every you've heard is building spiritual endurance. Every person who walked away made space for divine alignment. Every time God said not yet, He was shaping you with patience and wisdom, so when He says now, you'll know how to walk in it without losing your identity. There's a version of you God is preparing, not so that the blessing changes you, but so that you change the atmosphere wherever you go. Trust is not proven when everything is going your way. Trust is refined when nothing makes sense, but you still say, God, I'll follow. God's preparation process is often wrapped in mystery. Abraham was told to leave everything he knew and go to a land he'd never seen. Moses had to return to the place he fled from. David was anointed king, but sent back to the sheep. Esther had to hide her identity before stepping into her royal assignment. Ruth lost everything before walking into her legacy. None of these moments felt like favor at first glance, but each was part of God's perfect plan to position them for purpose. You might not understand the why of what you're walking through, but obedience is not about understanding, it's about surrender. God sees the full picture. And when you trust Him, even through confusion, you allow Him to write a story that glorifies Him and transforms you. We live in a world of fast results. But God's promises are often developed in slow-cooked seasons. There's a reason God doesn't hand out microwave blessings. You're not called to temporary favor, you're being built for lasting fruit. There is nothing shallow about the journey you're on. The depth of what God is doing requires time, trust, and trials. He's strengthening spiritual muscles, not just surface-level success. Because when the storm comes, and it will, only the one who's been anchored in the secret place will still be standing. You're not being overlooked. You're being overhauled. The foundation God is laying in your life is the kind that can carry generations. And when you come into your blessing, you won't be shaken by applause or discouraged by criticism. You'll be secure in knowing who sent you and why you were sent. Sometimes the greatest proof that you're headed in the right direction is not the ease of the path, but the resistance along it. Hell doesn't attack what's not a threat. The fact that you've faced betrayal, misunderstanding, delay, closed doors, or spiritual warfare isn't a sign that you missed God. It may be the exact evidence that you're on assignment. Ask Joseph. His own brothers threw him into a pit, but God used their betrayal as the very bridge to the palace. Ask David. Saul tried to kill him more than once, but God used those years in the caves to forge the heart of a king. Ask Paul. Shipwrecked, beaten, imprisoned, but through every affliction, the gospel spread like wildfire. In the kingdom of God, opposition often precedes elevation. The enemy wouldn't be trying so hard to discourage you if there weren't something divine connected to your destiny. So don't shrink back. Don't let fear fool you into forfeiting what you were created to carry. What's pressing against you now will become the very testimony that carries others later. What tried to break you will be the reason someone else breaks through. There's someone reading this who's had to let go of something you love deeply, whether it was a relationship, an opportunity, a season, or a dream you poured your heart into. Let me speak to your spirit. God sees your sacrifice. And He does not forget. He saw the moment you laid it down out of obedience. He heard the private prayers you never told anyone about. He felt the ache in your heart when you said, "Not my will, but yours." God never takes something from you without intending to give you something greater. That thing you lost? That person who left? That dream that died? It may have looked like the end, but it was the beginning of God's redirection. You were never meant to stay stuck in the version of life you pictured. God is writing a better one. He's building something you're not just blessed to receive, but ready to carry. And when the time is right, you won't have to fight for it. It will flow. Because God doesn't just restore, He redeems. He makes all things new. When God hides you, it's not punishment, it's protection. He's shielding you from premature exposure. He's keeping you from distractions. He's developing your identity outside the influence of public opinion. Decades of preparation for a few short years of fulfillment. Because the foundation mattered. The time with the Father mattered. The private development mattered. So if you feel unseen, rejoice. God is doing His deepest work in secret. The most powerful anointing comes from the most private altar. Your prayers are not in vain. Your growth is not going unnoticed. Your labor is not being overlooked. You are being rooted in truth, so when the winds of success come, you won't be uprooted by pressure or pride. This hidden season? It's holy. And it's preparing you for holy impact. There are times when life feels like a long hallway with doors that never open. Times when your name is never mentioned, your gifts go unnoticed, and your efforts feel like they're swallowed in silence. You've remained faithful when no one was watching. You prayed when you were weary. You stayed kind when bitterness knocked on your heart. You didn't retaliate when they betrayed you. You gave when you didn't have much left. You obeyed God when obedience cost you comfort, relationships, and opportunity. God is about to take the very things that were used to try to diminish you and use them to elevate you. Not for pride. Not for show. But for His glory. God is about to use your life as a demonstration of what it looks like when someone trusts Him through it all. Every hidden place, every overlooked season, every time you were passed over and misunderstood, it all mattered. None of it was wasted. You were not being punished. You were being prepared. When God chooses someone to carry His glory, He doesn't rush the process. He builds them in the silence. He strengthens them in private. He develops endurance, humility, wisdom, and resilience, not to break them, but to anchor them for what's coming next. There's a weight of glory attached to your next season, and it's going to require the version of you that was shaped in the fire. God isn't just about to bless you quietly. He's about to make a statement through your life that can't be ignored. What He's about to do won't be subtle. It'll be obvious that you didn't do it, He did. This won't be about striving, networking, or proving. This will be about divine positioning and undeniable favor. This is the season when God says, not just what you can do, not just your talent or knowledge or strength, but what He can do through someone surrendered, someone who said yes in the wilderness, someone who trusted the voice of God over the opinions of man, someone who didn't let rejection become their identity, someone who forgave and kept walking. Someone who loved Him more than the platform, more than applause, more than titles, more than convenience. You've been growing in secret. Now He's about to release the fruit. There are going to be people who say, "How did they get there? I never saw that coming. I didn't think they were the one God would use." And God is going to whisper, "Because you only looked on the surface, but I looked at the heart." There are blessings coming to your life that won't make sense logically. Open doors that no man can shut. Favor that you didn't even apply for. Platforms that find you. Opportunities that don't fit your resume. Miracles that interrupt your natural process. Not because you forced it, but because you followed Him. God is getting ready to put a spotlight on what He built in you when no one was clapping. And this time, they're going to see it. But understand, this is not about proving anything to people. This is not about showing off. This is about revealing His goodness, His power, and His faithfulness through a life that refused to let pain define it. Through a heart that refused to get bitter. Through a soul that chose obedience when rebellion looked easier. Through someone who let God take them through the long route instead of rushing the process. They saw you cry, but now they'll see you shine. They saw you being ridiculed, but now they'll see you raised. They saw the ashes, now they'll see the beauty. They saw the breaking, now they'll see the breakthrough. But what they won't see is the nights you spent on your face, telling God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. They won't see how you praised God when nothing changed. They won't see how you kept giving when you felt empty. They won't see the private war, but they'll see the public win. And that's how you'll know it was God. Because the doors will open that you didn't knock on. The blessing will arrive that you didn't manufacture. The right people will come that you didn't chase. The provision will flow that you didn't expect. And your only response will be, God did this. Heaven is orchestrating a reveal in your life. Not to show the world how great you are, but to show the world how faithful God is. How He lifts the humble. How He remembers those who are forgotten. How He honors obedience. How He defends His chosen. How He turns the tables in His perfect time. There's a shift in the atmosphere. Something is turning. Something is being released. You can feel it. You can sense it. God has been working behind the scenes, and now He's preparing to bring you forward. Not because you demanded it, but because you're ready. What's coming isn't just about your name being known. It's about His name being glorified. People will ask, how did you get here? And you'll say, it was the Lord. They'll wonder how you're thriving when you were supposed to be finished. They'll wonder how you're rising when they tried to bury you. They'll wonder how the very thing that was supposed to destroy you became the launching pad for your destiny. And it will be undeniable, God's hand is on you. This is not about revenge. It's about redemption. This is not about ego. It's about elevation. This is not about showing up your enemies. It's about showing up for your assignment. This is not about proving yourself. It's about proving God's power. You're not rising because you demanded a throne. You're rising because you carried the cross. You're not being seen because you made noise. You're being seen because heaven said, it's time. Just be obedient. Just be humble. Just stay surrendered. Because the same God who called you is the same God who will establish you. The same God who spoke to you in the valley is the same God who will lift you to the mountaintop. The same God who let them walk away is the same God who will bring in the right ones. The same God who watched you go through loss is the same God who is about to restore you in full.